Hello. Welcome to a DFS strategy video for the 2025 Wyndham Championship. My name is Eric, and I'm here to go over all things SweetSpot DFS. I'll be looking at the golf course and tournament information. I'll go over past optimal lineups. We'll review the 3M Open and see what worked well with the SweetSpot process there. We'll get into the Marquee Tee Times, and then as well as the bucket system, and then we'll start building lineups at the end of this video. I think I'm going to do things a little bit different when it comes to building lineups. I'm going to do the members only video right after this one. So for all the members of the YouTube channel, save your lineups for that video, and I'll build you lineups in that video. We'll just have non-members or members that, you know, would rather have their lineups built sooner rather than later, or be live while building lineups. We'll figure it out when we get there, but I want to take tomorrow and be able to practice a little bit for a tournament that I've got coming up. So instead of streaming late tomorrow night, I'm going to do that tonight. I'll also go into the nitty-gritty when it comes to kind of like, you know, if you're a member, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I go over a little bit more in depth of things that I'm looking for this week. So if you do want to if you want to become a member, hit that join button down below. You need to be the $4.99 and above, so the white tier member and above, in order to see those videos. Otherwise, you can see that on replay tomorrow at any point in time. But I think that is what I will be doing for the YouTube members. What's going on, Dumb and Dumber and More Dumber? And a good reminder, this is a live video, so I'll be interacting with my chat when they roll in and ask any questions or anything like that. But I suppose let's go ahead and cover the first thing, and that's giveaways. Weekly giveaway, monthly giveaway. This is the last week before the monthly giveaway. So if you want to get in an entry into that monthly giveaway, be here when I do roll calls. So at the 1 hour mark, I'll try to do roll call number 1. And if we do stick around for 2 hours, I will try to do roll call number 2 at the 2 hour mark. You can get another entry by just commenting on the video after this goes live. So if you're unaware, YouTube goes, or like this is a live video right now, but once I hit end broadcast, it then gets put out to YouTube where you can watch it on replay. Well, there's a comment section down below. If you go comment there, you can get an additional entry. If you check the description of this video, you can see how to get an additional entry that way. So go ahead and check that out. But this is the last week for the monthly. We will be doing a weekly giveaway here very shortly. But if you want in on the weekly giveaway, it also goes towards the monthly giveaway. So all things rewarded for participating on the channel. Now, I also have another giveaway that kind of goes hand in hand with the one I just stated. It all has to do with getting 1,000 subscribers on this channel. I am at 864 out of 1,000. Once we reach 1,000, I will give away 1,000. So you want an entry into that giveaway. All that you have to do is go to SweetSpotDFS.com and create an account, a free account. You don't have to pay anything. Just go ahead, put in your username and an email address, and that's all that I need. I will definitely let you know when I run this giveaway. I'll give you guys enough of a head start, although that's not really a heads up, when I do this giveaway. So this is available. Again, once we reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll do it. Just more reasons to subscribe if you haven't. Okay, enough talking about those giveaways. Let's go ahead and run a giveaway. This is the weekly giveaway. It's worth $5. We had 22 total entries. Appreciate everybody that participated last week. Let's do that drum roll. Joanne. Hey, Joanne's in the chat. Good evening, Joanne. You win. You win the money. Congrats, Joanne. That's a first time in a long time. I believe we're banking money, right? And if you, I don't know where you're at. I always kind of trust you to know that kind of stuff. But congrats. We got to get hats made pretty soon, right? Okay. So Joanne is our giveaway winner. Let's just get right into this strategy video and talk about the golf course and tournament information. All right. I have not updated this, but I'll show you how you can update it when you come here. This is SweetSpotDFS.com. These are the golf course stats. So if you find the fantasy tools at the top of the site and you scroll down to golf course stats, that is where you will find this page. And just make sure you enter the tournament as well as the golf course, and it should pull in all of the statistics that should matter to you when researching what golfers you want to put in your lineups. So again, there's a link in the description for this. We are at the Sedgefield Country Club. This golf course has hosted this tournament since forever. I can't remember when it was. I guess I don't know the debut of this tournament, but it's been a while since the beginning of my data. It goes all the way back to 2013. We are on straight Bermuda. So if you want to look at stats, I do have a cheat sheet that is available to all of you that is updated. If you want to check that out, just go under fantasy tools at SweetSpotDFS.com. Click on cheat sheet. This page will come up. Scroll down a little bit until you find the cheat sheet. Click there, and you can find the Google sheet that I provide for everyone. And on this Google sheet, we have Bermuda grass, not bent grass. I'll change that right now. We have Bermuda grass. Trust me, it is. That's where I pulled the stats from. And then you can find the overall best Bermuda golfers under the overall Bermuda stat. This goes all the way back to 2013, who's played the best on Bermuda, what their top 10 rate is. So the percentage of times they are inside the top 10 on Bermuda golf courses. And then last year Bermuda means the last 365 days. What is their average finishing position on Bermuda tracks? So that is what you can find on the cheat sheet. And again, like I said, golf course stats, it is straight Bermuda. When it comes to the shot shapes, I map out the golf course. I look off the tee. I look on approach. What does it look like as it pertains to a professional golfer? What would be the most advantageous ball flight to hit in order to score the most birdies? This has nothing to do with overall success. I shouldn't even say that. It could. But I do have a little disclaimer here. It's like, these are not necessary shot shapes. Golfers, the most beautiful thing about golf is you can get to the green however you want to get to the green. If you want to lay up and then hit a longer iron into the green, the statistics will tell you that that is not the most advantageous way to do it, but it certainly can work out for most, or for some golfers. So there are multiple ways to get there. The shot shapes, the mapping that I do, like I said, it's not necessary, but I do believe it gives the best scoring opportunities for golfers on this golf course. So you can kind of see a little summary box here. We don't have many shot shapes that matter here. There aren't any draws that I found to be absolutely necessary or even beneficial. I see more fades and only on, well, I shouldn't say only, but mostly on approaches. So do with that as you will. On the cheat sheet, I do have some of the shot shapes for these golfers, but not all of them. So if you just want to take a look at that, that's available again for you guys on the cheat sheet. As for the rest of the golf course information, 7,100 yards, par 70. Architect is Donald Ross. Use all that to your expense, however you guys want to. Talking about the tournament, it's 156 golfers in this field. Top 65 in ties make the cut. That's kind of one of those, if it's a full field event on the PGA Tour, those things are common. The amount of golfers in the field and the cut. Now, if we want to take a look at what the average winning score is at the Wyndham, it's about 18 under. It was 18 last year, 20 under the 2 years prior to that. In 2021, it was 15 under. 2020 was 21 under, 22, 21, 22, 21, 17, 17, 14. I think if you average them all out, it's just a little over 18 under, but I think anywhere between 18 to 20 under is going to be your winning score. When it comes to cuts, we had -4 last year. We had -2 the year before that. The year before that was -1, -3, -3. So probably -3 being an average, it looks like. Sometimes it goes up to -4. Sometimes it goes down to 1 under. But yeah, I think -3, -2, -3 is going to be your average cut at this event. Unfortunately, I don't have those types of filters on the website currently. Of course, I am working through all that stuff, and they will be there for sure by next year. The beginning of next year, the website should be, I won't say 100% updated, but it will be at the point where I want it to be. You'll have all the filters at your disposal. I'm going to try to work that into this fall, but mostly just look for it to be completed in 2026. Yeah, that's all that I have for you when it comes to the golf course and tournament information. I'm gonna check out the chat. I see a couple people. Wheels up, how's it going? Brian John, what's up, man? Byron, what's up, man? Oh my God, work's been super busy for me. I've not been able to look at really anything when it comes to DFS. So I apologize for not being there in the last, I think, what, 3 weeks? Not being in your stream? Maybe 4. It's been a while. But anyways, hope streaming's going good. I saw you were doing the Ragbri, so hopefully you had a good time, a great time doing that. We'll get to chatting here a little bit later. Hopefully you're here for most of the night. All right, let's move on and talk about pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. All right, I like to start here. Fantasy Tools, past salary builds. You'll see a different title here, historic salary builds. I look at 3 different lineups that I have recorded dating pretty much back to 2017 is when DraftKings started putting together contests for golf, for PGA DFS. 2019 is basically when every tournament got salaries, sometimes 2018, but most of the time it's 2019 and on. So I record the GPP winning lineup, the optimal lineup, and the SweetSpot optimal. The SweetSpot optimal is a lineup that uses $49,600 of the salary, and it's the most optimal lineup doing that. Unless the optimal also follows those rules, then the SweetSpot optimal is the second best lineup. So I really just want to show you, you don't have to leave a lot of money on the table in order to take down a GPP, and you can do the comparisons however you want. There's another page that I have called Pass Optimal and GPP Winners, where if you pick a tournament, say the Wyndham, since we're at the Wyndham, you drill down on that and you want to look at 2024. If you look at the SweetSpot optimal, you just drill down on SweetSpot, you'll see the amount of DK points that were used and the salary that was used. I shouldn't say the DK points that were used, the DK points that were scored. And if you put the GPP winning lineup in there, 668.5, you use 49,800 of the salary. SweetSpot was 670. So it was 2 points above the GPP winning lineup. GPP was really good. And if you want to take a look at the optimal, it left $3,400 on the table and it scored 712. So when you take a look at the difference between all of them, there's a bit of a difference. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that at the top of the leaderboard, if you look, so I don't have any lineups selected, you see there aren't many high-priced golfers. 10,200, that was T7, was the most expensive golfer inside the top 10. Otherwise, 86, 88, there were no 9K golfers. It was mostly 7 and 6K golfers. So with that scenario, you just aren't going to find many lineups that are close to the optimal that use up 49.6 and above. So yeah, there was a big gap there. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Obviously, this channel, I'm trying to chase the optimal lineup, but I'm trying to chase the most realistic optimal lineup, not the one that leaves $4,000, $5,000 on the table. Like it's just, that's really difficult to do that. So I don't try to do that, but I do try to chase the perfect lineup that uses 49,600 of the salary and above. So if you want to use this, I absolutely implore you to do so. SweetSpotDFS.com. This is behind a paywall, weekly, monthly, yearly. If you want to become a lifetime member, this will always be available for those types of memberships. Unfortunately, it's not for free. And again, you can find these under fancy tools, past salary builds, past optimals. But let's take a look at the Wyndham. Let's see what the most common lineup build is just for the Wyndham Championship. This is including all years. And let's see, how far does it go back to? It goes back to 2017. 2017, it goes all the way back to. But I don't have the GPP winning lineup for 2017 or 2018. I do for 2019. So there's a couple things you can do here when it comes to filtering. We can see that a 10-9-8-7-7-6 lineup build is the most common lineup build. There are 5 records of it for the Wyndham Championship. And if you want to drill down on this, you can see what those lineups are right here. It was the SweetSpot Optimal in 2018. It was the Optimal in 2019. And then 2019, also in 2019, the SweetSpot Optimal, 2020, the SweetSpot Optimal, 2023, the SweetSpot Optimal. Again, those are the, it is the perfect lineup that uses $49,600 of the salary and above, unless there isn't a lineup that can get close. So 2023 might have been that, and it had to use 49,400. So there are sometimes caveats to it. It's just supposed to be a lineup that gets really close to 50,000, unless it just can't. And most likely it can't, because maybe the GPP winning lineup is the best lineup that uses 49,600 of the salary and above. Well, I want to find you a lineup that does beat the GPP winning lineup that is very close to using that salary. And that's what you got in 2023. So yeah, 10-9-8-7-7-6 is the most common. That's 22% of all lineups, not just, well, it was mostly SweetSpot Optimals. But of the 3 lineups that I use, that's the most common. Then it's 10-8-8-7-7-6, 10-8-8-7-7-7. So those are very similar to each other. And then it's 10-9-8-7-6-6. So really, those 4 lineup builds are very, very close to each other. 10-9-8-7-7-6 is what I always ask you guys, or what I always suggest for you guys to start your lineup builds with. And then you can make a couple substitutions. So from 10-9-8-7-7-6 to 10-8-8-7-7-6, you can tell it's just one substitution. It's a 9K to another 8K. And then you go down here and we do that same 9K to an 8K, but instead of using a 6K, we use a third 7K. So that's technically 2 substitutions. Then you go down to the next one, it's 10-9-8-7-6-6. So we sub one of those 7s to a 6, and that's just 1 sub. So if you look, I've got 22 total lineups. And that type of lineup build covers 5, 7, 9, 11 out of 20. So 50% of your lineups basically go 10-9-8-7-7-6 with 1 or 2 substitutions that are just really close. They're either subbing a 6 up to a 7 down to a 6, or a 9 down to an 8. It's pretty consistent. And like I said at the 3M Open, starting with a 10K golfer was probably a good choice. And we will review the 3M Open. Chris Gotterup was in the GPP winning lineup, and he was $10,000. So it did work out there like I said it would. I think this is a perfect time to do it again. And if you look at all lineups, so I don't have any other filters on here, 72% of those lineups have a 10K golfer in it. That's what these little percentages down here represent. 72% of those lineups have a 10K golfer. 59% of those lineups have a 9K golfer, or pretty close to 60%. 91% have an 8K golfer. 95% have at least one 7K. 72% have at least one high 6K, which is $6,500 to $6,900. And only just under 20% have at least one low K, or one low 6K, which is $6,400 and below. So I haven't even shown you what the salaries look like for the Wyndham Championship, but just looking at historical data, it would appear that low 6K golfers have a very difficult time having success at this tournament, at least when it comes to these lineups, the 3 lineups that I record. Now, if you don't want to follow that, you can certainly still go to this page and take a look at what a lot of the GPP winning lineups are. Like, just look at GPP winning lineup and go through the years and just record what the lowest salary golfer is. $6,900 in 2024. In 2023, it was $7,300. In 2022, it was $6,800. In 2021, it was $64,000. So there's a low 6K. And look who it is. It's Denny McCarthy. By the way, Denny McCarthy signed golf ball. If you want a chance to win a Denny McCarthy signed golf ball after this video goes live, go comment down in the comment section. Just say Denny McCarthy, and you get yourself an entry into Denny McCarthy signed golf ball. It's a Titleist Pro V. One of those double arrow ones. So yeah. Again, go check out SweetSpotDFS.com. Go check out what a lot of these lineups look like. Do your own research. But it just from a zoomed out level, 10-9-8, 7-7-6 is the way to go. If you just want to look at GPP winning lineups, 10-8-8, 7-7-6 and 10-8-8, 7-7-7. I have 6 GPP winning lineups recorded, and in 6 of those, it starts with a 10, 2 8s, and 2 7s. That's 50%. In fact, if you look at all of the ones that have at least 2 8K golfers, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6 that have 2 8K golfers in it. And that's just looking at the GPP winning lineup. So it might appear, or it would appear, that 8K golfers are somewhat important to put in our lineups. Of course, that changes year to year. You have to look at the golfers in the field just to get a sense. Is the 8K range worth it this year? And yet again, what you can do is go to those SweetSpot or SweetSpotDFS.com, go check out these pass optimal and GPP winners, and just take a look. Who are those 8K golfers? Aaron Ryan, Luke Clanton? Would those have been guys that you would have put at the top of your bingo card in the 8K range? You had Cam Davis last year, Seabez, Keegan Bradley was in the 8K range, Dietrich, McIntyre, Højgaard, McNeely, Johnny Vegas. I mean, honestly, when I look at that 8K range from last year, I don't think I'm wanting to play 2 of those guys. I think maybe McIntyre would have had my interest last year. And I think Aaron Rai was one of those golfers that a lot of people were interested in playing last year because the golf course just seemed to fit him. So he wasn't like super highly owned, but I believe he was like 16%, something like that. 14 to 16%. So, but like Luke Clanton, if you're playing Luke Clanton, it was because you knew the kid was talented and you wanted to play a stud on the rise. So, but yeah, Keegan Bradley would have been the other guy. I would have assumed Keegan Bradley, McIntyre, and Aaron Rai would have been the golfers that I would have wanted to anchor my lineups around in the 8K range if I'm looking at them. But that's what you can do at SweetSpotDFS.com. Just go check out all of the 8K ranges and just see which golfers actually did well. And if you would have anticipated those 8K golfers to be, those guys. Cam Davis over Denny McCarthy, probably not. Benny Ann, yeah, probably. I mean, Benny Ann in this golf course, he's done well here quite a few times. But the rest of them don't look that great. Even if I'm trying to remember what 2023 was like. Cam Davis, I would have chose him. Steven Yeager, I've always been a sucker for Steven Yeager, so maybe I would have chose him. I definitely would have played Denny McCarthy. I wouldn't have played Aaron Rai. I would have played Byung-Hun An. Probably wouldn't have played Hosler. I just wouldn't have. Chris Kirk, I don't remember how he was playing in 2023. Alex Smalley, he is a North Carolina boy, or one of the Carolinas, either North Carolina or South Carolina. So this is almost a home field event for him. So I would have played him. Maybe not. Hadwin and Moore have never really been huge fans of, especially at this golf course. So, yeah, I mean, Benny Ann would have been one guy that I would have played. McCarthy would have been another one. And maybe those were the only two. So I guess what I'm trying to get at going over all of this is I don't think the AK golfers that you would assume to do well at this tournament are the ones that you want to pick. Tom Kim won it in 2022. I don't remember how we felt about him coming into the event. He was definitely a better golfer then than he is now. That's for sure. I bet you we would all have been on JT Poston, Justin Rose, probably Kevin Kisner, Siwoo Kim, and probably Denny McCarthy. I mean, Denny McCarthy is in my dummy lineup on DraftKings right now just because of name value and it being on a Bermuda track. I feel like this is a good course, but now I've seen him twice where he's missed the cut. So I don't know. I'm still probably going to play Denny McCarthy because I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker like that. But yeah, I think that's enough. I don't need to really go through each of these 8K ranges and just show you, the golfers that I think if we were to go back in time, we would have chose those 8K golfers. And then whatever their result was versus the other guys that, that ended up finishing top 10 and we wouldn't have played. I think so I was looking at the leaderboards earlier and it seemed like back prior to, this is 2021. I think like 2022 and further back in the past, all of your old veterans did really well at this tournament. But since 2022, the old veterans just aren't getting it done around here. So I don't know if that's just a blip. And to be honest, okay, I went and I looked at the strength of field. This kind of goes into, this should have been golf course and tournament information, but it is 394 the strength of field this week. Last year at this event, it was 362. And then in 2023 and beyond, it drops down into the 200s. 286 in 2023 and 2022, 239. 2021, 262. So when I was thinking about it, I was going, is it when the strength of field goes up that at least the fields for the Wyndham Championship, so when the strength of fields go up, is that when there's more volatility in the leaderboard versus when the strength of field's at its lowest? The old veterans come through and play really well at this course. It kind of makes sense. If there aren't high quality golfers at a particular event, you would assume the golfers that do play that course regularly would end up having the advantage. And you would think they'd have the advantage no matter what. But of course, if the strength of field is lower, then that's probably when they shine through the most. So when we fast forward to this year, 394 is the highest it's been. I mean, I've recorded it going back to 2021. Yeah, I don't have it for 2020, but 2021 was 262. And like I said, those 3 years, 2021, 2022, 2023, were in the 200s. And then last year was 362. And you had Aaron Rye winning the event. And Luke Clanton, by the way, finishing 5th at $8,600. What was his recent form coming into that event? 33.5. Not super great. Not bad, but not super great. So definitely all things to consider when starting to build your lineups. And I said start with a 10K golfer. At least 72% of lineups start with a 10K golfer. The 10K golfers this week are pretty good, especially on Bermuda golf courses. It is worth noting that Matt Fitzpatrick doesn't have a super great sweet spot score. That has a lot to do with how poor he played at the beginning of this year. So if you want to give him a little bit of a boost, I would say go for it. But I shouldn't say I do. I don't mind Keegan Bradley, and I also don't mind Ben Griffin. I think those two golfers are fine to anchor your lineups around this week. And then the 9K range, when you look at the 9K range, I think that's worth, there's some good talented golfers. Akshay Bhatia played pretty well at the 3M Open except for Sunday. Sunday's round was a bit brutal for him. Jake Knapp played well. I much rather play Bhatia over Knapp just because I like Batia's course fit, at least my perceived course fit of Bhatia over Knapp. Don't mind going back to Harry Hall Aaron Rai, I think this is still a good golf course for him. And then Spieth, McIntyre, and Matsuyama, they have played these events, or this event, and not very well. I mean, when you just look at their course history heading into this event, I have that right here under this column. Like an average finishing position for Hideki Matsuyama of 56.75. An average finishing position of 75 for Robert McIntyre, and an average finishing position of 58.50 for Jordan Spieth. So just those three 9K golfers that are in the top 9K, not super great. Not super great. It's also worth noting that Aaron Rai won here last year, and I think his course history was probably a missed cut, an average of a missed cut coming into that event. So take a lot of this with a grain of salt, or maybe not. Maybe take it for what it's worth, whatever value you find it. But I think it's easy to drop down into the 8K range. There are a lot of good names down in the 8K range to build your lineups around. And much like what I was just going over, it's not your common 8K golfers that you think are going to play well. In a way, I almost want to say, maybe it's just an 8K golfer we don't expect to play well. You know, like Siwoo Kim has not been playing super great golf, but I don't mind his course fit here. Kurt Kitayama just won. We probably aren't thinking he's going to win again, but maybe this is a perfect storm for him. Coming in hot. Lucas Glover won this event in 2023 and then ended up winning the very next week. So is it that far-fetched to think Kurt Kitayama couldn't do the same thing? But going from the 3M to the Wyndham, different grass surfaces, whereas like going from the Wyndham to the St. Jude, they're both Bermuda golf courses. So it makes more sense that Lucas Glover could have done that in 2023, and thinking Kurt Kitayama could do that here, probably not that great. However, again, I think it might be one of those 8K golfers that you don't necessarily consider. Like you just don't think is going to play well here. Or we could just go back to the golfers that we just like, you know? I was telling you that Denny McCarthy had those two missed cuts, though the years that in the 8K range that I was like, hey, I probably would have played him, and he had missed cuts. His average finishing position at this event with those two missed cuts is still 40.71. Those hurt his average finishing position here, but it's still 40.71. So that kind of tells you that even with those bad finishes, this is a pretty good golf course for Denny. But yeah, I guess I do like the 8K range. I actually don't mind playing two 8K golfers to pair up with one of these 10K golfers. And I also don't mind going 10 into the 9s. You know, I feel like I'm going to do a very traditional style build. I'm not going to do much stars and scrubs. I'll go 10-9-8 or I'll go 10-8-8. And I'll sprinkle in a couple 9, starting with the 9K range. I'm going to do very similar that I did last week, where I basically took the number from the past salary builds. So if I go here and you take these numbers up here, 72% of these winning lineups had a 10K golfer, meaning 28% or 27% did not. So that's probably what I'll do with my lineups. If I'm building 100 lineups, I'll be doing somewhere around 80. Well, I should say 70 to 75 of them starting with a 10K golfer, and the rest of them starting with a 9K golfer. I'm cool with that. Super cool with that. I should actually say this. Hold on. Let's put a filter on this. Salary used. I'm never going to go lower than 49.5, but I'm most likely always going to start at 49.6. So if you change the salary from the bare minimum all the way up to 49.6 and then hit less filters, when you take a look, I was expecting it to change a little bit more, but it didn't. 81% of all of the lineups have a 10K golfer. So it didn't really change at all. Not really at all. The AKs went down, actually. So there's 1, 2, 3 out of 16. So that's an 81% number, I suppose. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, that's how I think I'm going to start building lineups, or that's how I'll build lineups for myself this week. So more power to all of you with all that information, but that's all that I have for Pass Optimal and GPP lineups. Let's take a look at chat. Dude, I have skipped 2 shows in the last couple of weeks too with all the stuff going on in my life. Summer's busy. Summer's super busy. Plan on hanging out tonight? Sweet. This is going to be great. John Bizzle says, what's up, everybody? Wheels up. For my DFS build, I'm thinking of a 6K anchor, bypassing the top tier and then filling the high upside 8 to 9K golfers, starting with Bobby max price. What are your DraftKings thoughts? I basically just gave them to you without reading your question. Played a ton of Luke last week, but had too much Mav McNeil. Yeah, he played pretty bad. I was very excited for Sam Burns to make the cut, only to watch him basically finish DFL for those that did make the cut. So that covers pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. Let's review the 3M Open. Okay, I'm going to start here. This is just the summary for the bucket system. It lets us know how many buckets were successful last week based off of how many golfers were inside the top 10, as well as how many were in the optimal lineup. So how it reads, it will look at the projections that I have over here, and it will follow the rules that I have. We round down with the minimum, that goes to 1. We round up with the maximum, that goes to 3. So we're anticipating 1 to 3 last year ones inside the top 10. We had 1 inside the top 10. We had 1 in the optimal lineup. So therefore that bucket was a success. When we look at the rest of these buckets, we will see 2 no's. Now, got to point something out here. I always include a 2-point buffer, but I don't have it written out. I don't have it coded that way for the validation piece over here to incorporate that. So basically the validation piece says, oh, it's looking 0 to 1, because when you look at the minimum and the minimum says 0.43, so that rounds down to 0, and the max is 0.72, that rounds up to 1. Well, again, I want a 2-point buffer so we can eyeball it and see that in the top 10, there were 2. In the optimal lineup, there were 2. So technically this bucket should be a success, so that should be a Y. This no down here, that was a true failure. That was last week 5s. Typically at the 3M Open, golfers who missed the cut the week before end up playing pretty well at the 3M Open. Not always did the 3M Open follow the Open Championship as well as an alternate event. I think it was either 1 or 2 years that it didn't. So it is possible that some of the data might be a little muddy, I suppose. So that projection was technically 2 to 4, and we only had 1 inside the top 10. So it was close. Now the SweetSpot Optimal had 2 golfers in it, and we'll see how well the SweetSpot Optimal did right now. So the SweetSpot Optimal also includes the Marquee Tee Times, which I'll go back to, but the SweetSpot Optimal scored 730 points. The GPP scored 734.5. I think that lineup would have been the lineup that I'll tell you right now of Kurt Kitayama, Sam Stevens, Jake Knapp, Wyndham Clark, Thorbjorn Olesen, and Tom Kim, believe it or not. Those 6 golfers, I think, would have been good for 4th place in the $5 drive the green. I might have that wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe it was better. So this is more of a conservative, I wouldn't say guesstimation, but like I can't really remember what 2nd place or 3rd place was. But I know this was good for at least 4th place, which we're trying to win a GPP, so that technically is a failure. And the SweetSpot Optimal is actually following all of the rules that we applied last week. So yeah, 4 points behind. The GPP win, or the optimal lineup, scored 783. So neither of these 2 lineups were even sniffing the optimal. And that had a lot to do with there not being a lot of expensive golfers inside the top 10. So again, it's just like when I reviewed the Wyndham Championship how many years ago during the Pass Optimal GPP winning lineups. It's like, you know, when there aren't that many high-priced golfers inside the top 10, it's going to be really hard to sniff the optimal lineup following rules that you don't want to leave a lot of money on the table when building lineups. So it is what it is. It is what it is. It was it technically was a failure last week for the SweetSpot process. I will say when it comes to Marquee Tee Times, for all those that like to look at the Marquee Tee Times, let's take a look at how those ended up. Oh, I didn't update it. Or did I? Maybe I did. I did. Okay, cool. So there technically were 4 golfers in the Marquee Tee Times. And of course, they're not paired up together in any of their lineups. But 4 of them were in the Sweet Spot Optimal. 2 of these guys were in the GPP winning lineup. Chris Goddard and Jake Knapp, they didn't play together. They played 20 minutes apart, actually. So 2 of them were in the Marquee Tee Times, but only 1 optimal lineup golfer was actually in the Marquee Tee Times, where we're expecting 2 to 4, somewhere between 2 to 4, and we had 1. So yeah, it's nice to see that the GPP winning lineup had 2 of those golfers in them. It's nice to see that the Sweet Spot had 4 of them. The Sweet Spot almost took down the GPP. So in a way, I would say the Marquee Tee Times were successful because there were 2 of them in the GPP winning lineup, and they didn't play together. That is a rule that I will repeat once we get there. But just, throwing that out there right now. The Marquee Tee Times were, I would say, successful, but the Sweet Spot Optimal did not take down the GPP. So therefore, altogether, it was a failure last week, but by 4 points. So anyways, hopefully we can change our luck and get into this week following the Sweet Spot process and taking down a GPP. So let me check chat before I move into the next. I didn't see much. Yes, I did. And Denny Barry goes, hello, dropping in to say, hey, we'll catch up in the morning. All right, awesome. For all of the members, all the YouTube members, if you didn't catch this in the intro, I am going to do a members only video tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to go practice. I have a tournament coming up this weekend, and I need to practice tomorrow and Thursday. I'm not sure if I'll get much practice in on Friday. So, yeah, we're going to do a members only video tonight. We'll get into the weeds. We'll dive in a little deeper than we typically do in these videos. And I will also build lineups for members tonight during the members only video. So, I should have posted that it was going to be on later tonight. Anyways, if you want me to build lineups for you, I would suggest, actually, you can put them in the chat when I ask you to. Don't do it now, but when I ask you to, you can put those lineups and then I can build them in the members only. So as long as you're a member only, I'll do it in the members only, and I'll build you more lineups than I'll do for the non-members here. So be on the lookout for that. So anyways, let's move on to, well, the bucket system for the Wyndham Championship. All right, so since we just reviewed the 3M Open, it's time to look at the Wyndham Championship for the bucket system. And basically, I'm just going to focus on the buckets that matter, the buckets that we really want to anchor our lineups around. Let's see, how close can I get this? That's fine. I don't know how this gets adjusted every once in a while. I didn't change anything. I want the max projection over here to come in here. I don't know why it's not. Close. All right, good enough. There. How I look at this just for video. Okay, hold on. Never mind. What I'm going to do for the anchor buckets, because you guys can check out the cheat sheet. Again, cheat sheet is available at SweetSpotDFS.com. Scroll, look at the fantasy tools, find cheat sheet. It'll bring you to this page. Come down here where it says the cheat sheet. Click here. This will pull up the cheat sheet that's available for all of you. You do not have to be a paying member in order to see any of that. But now I'll be going over the bucket system, which you guys can follow along with me, doing the exact same thing. All right. Now, I'll briefly tell you how to read this. You want to look at the minimum projection for each of these buckets, and you want to look at the maximum projection. And remember, there's a 2-point buffer between all of them. You round down with the minimum, you round up with the maximum. So this very first bucket last year, 1, would be 0 to 2. So basically, that's just saying I'm projecting there to be somewhere between 0 to 2 golfers from that one bucket, from the last year 1 bucket, to finish inside the top 10, which you can interpret however you want. If you're like, well, I have to pick at least 1, I have to pick 2, you certainly can. But just remember, 0 is a possibility as well. And then there's more information you can find over here for bucket totals. You can see there's a this year column, 15 golfers in that bucket, where we normally see average per year of 14.91. So it's right on average. And 15% success rate, all that kind of goes into there being a 0 to 2 likelihood of golfers being inside the top 10, somewhere between 0 to 2. And then what you can do on the dream sheet, go ahead, put a filter on it, and we just look at last year 1s, and it should be 15 golfers. I've confirmed it's 15 of them. Ben Griffin's one of them. I like Ben Griffin this week. Aaron Rai won the event last year. Then you have the rest of these guys. Now, it's on you. I think this is the one thing I failed to miss in a lot of these videos, at least to explain to you or to even go over. Look at the quality of golfer in that bucket, and then ask yourself, do you see more than 0 golfers finishing inside the top 10? Do you see more than 1 golfer finishing inside the top 10? And could you see up to 2 finishing inside the top 10? I mean, just giving a once over. Yeah, I like Ben Griffin quite a bit. I also think Aaron Rai fits this golf course pretty well. Luke Clanton, I think, just being a Southern boy, that this stuff is going to work for Luke Clanton. Like, I think he's going to play well. I also kind of really like Max Grazerman this week as well. So right away, the top 4 guys in this bucket, I could see finishing inside the top 10 pretty easy. In my head, yeah, of course. I think 2 of these guys for sure could finish inside the top 10. But this is one of those events where it's pretty volatile. You know, do we really... those that you expect to finish inside the top 10 don't often do. So I think maybe one of these guys, and then take a look at the rest. And do you think any of them have a good likelihood of finishing inside the top 10? It's up to you guys. A lot of good course history, by the way. Some of these are just one-time finishers. So, and you can kind of tell Luke Clanton's first time playing was last year, and he got a 5th place. Max Grazerman's first time, he got a 2nd. Ryo Hisatsune, he had a 3rd place finish here last year, and that's what his course history is. But like Eric Cole, 10.5, finished 7th, so at least 2 events under his belt where he has finished pretty well. Svensson, that's a pretty good average finishing position. And then Chan Kim and Meisner, those were their first times playing. So, I mean, it's really up to you guys. However you feel about these golfers, make your arguments for or against, and just live with your convictions. I think a lot of these guys are just fine. They're fine. I don't have an issue with you playing any of these golfers. There's not someone that I'm really concerned with. Like, you would think Matt Kuchar's just too old to play well at this event, but in the past, it's rewarded the old guys. So, especially the wily veterans that know their way around the golf course. So anyways, that's how you read the bucket system. Now, for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into max projections, and I'm going to go filter by condition and go greater than or equal to 2. And this will narrow down our search, or narrow down what we're looking at. From here, what I'll also do is I want there to be a clear enough likelihood at least 1 golfer will finish inside the top 10. And I kind of eyeball this. So if you look at like the strokes gain 1 bucket, it says 1.22 to 2.04. 2.04 is pretty darn close to being under 2. That's a min flat 2. That I don't think is a likelihood of, you know, at least having 1 guy from that bucket inside the top 10. So I also kind of look at this column over here, which you all have access to on the cheat sheet, is just under miscellaneous information, and there's a max projection here. This incorporates the SweetSpot score to go with the other calculations that I've done for the projections over here. So 2.16, that's pretty low. I'm not super comfortable with that, although that's a good bucket to look at. 2.12, that's pretty low. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put a filter on this bucket over here, and I want greater than 2.12. So I'm going to go filter by condition. Actually, let's just go greater than or equal to 2.13. 2.13. And so that'll narrow down the buckets even more. The last filter that I want to do is bucket totals. Because I don't want this video to be super long, I just want to look at the low totals of golfers in this bucket. I can tell you one thing already. I only see 2 buckets to talk about because every bucket here has over 30, like 37 or more. Which is a lot. It's a lot of golfers in a bucket to talk about. So I'm going to clear everything and just select the top 3, including that 37. So really, again, you guys can do this on your own. I told you guys how to find the anchor buckets. You want to look at, you know, the expanded version of that where it's not filtering out how many golfers are in this field. Again, I do that for this video, so it's not super long. We have last week 1, course history 3, and course history 2, where I expect at least one guy to finish inside the top 10 for each of these. So let's take a look at last week 1s. These are golfers who finished inside the top 20 at... I just want to make sure. Let me check something really quick. I want to make sure I didn't grab something from the week before. That'd be silly. Yeah, okay. I thought that was wrong. So this is the sheet that I copy everything over from. So we are going to do this. Copy it over. I should have known. Okay, and then I also have to update the buckets over here as well. This will change a little bit. So now our summary is probably different. It is. See, this goes down under 1.76. So let's clear out these filters, except for that max projection over there. I'm going to clear out these ones. I'll select all 12 and take a look back. And it actually doesn't really change anything that what I'm going to do. Because again, if you filter by, actually here, hold on. Let's do this once again. I need to copy all this over. Let me put it on the spreadsheet for you guys that are following along right now. Glad I caught that. Yeah, there's not much change. Quite a bit in the last week buckets. Actually, there is a big change. The big one is the last week's 6 bucket. That jumps up to 3.22. It was at 0.096. Or no, I'm sorry, 0.96, and now it jumps up to 3.22 for the maximum. So yeah, there's a big change there. We don't need to look at the 3M open anymore. I'll copy all this over here. Yeah, sorry about that. I totally missed it. Totally missed it. There you go. Then nothing is updated with the score, I don't think. No, everything is the same. Got it, got it, got it. Good. And then this got all updated. The bucket says, okay. Cheat sheet has been updated for those that are following along right now and those that are going to follow along when the video comes through. All that's been updated, and I think now we're good to go. Yeah, everything looks good there. Buckets have been updated here. And everything here doesn't matter because that's all. My buckets actually follow this page for me, and obviously I've recorded that properly. So let's go ahead and put these filters back on. Go greater than or equal to 2. We'll get a lot of the same buckets, but like I said, last week 6 now gets a huge boost. Like it wasn't that high before. And I can still do the 2.13 filter over here, greater than or equal to 2.13. That removes 2 of those buckets. And then if I choose the top 3, yeah, now it includes the last week 6 bucket instead of the last week 1 bucket. So now when I go back to the dream sheet, so basically do the same thing that we were just doing. Instead of looking at last week 1s, now we're looking at last week 6s. And there are 34 golfers in that bucket. Some of these we can just ignore. Aaron Rise, Preston Cole, Philip Knowles, Stephen Franken, Jim Herman, Austin Duncan, T. Lee or Tane Lee, Scotty Kennan. Basically all those guys that are $6,100 and below, you can ignore them. And just look, Mateo Montecero on up. This is 26 golfers. So the projection that I had is 1 to 4. That's what I'm projecting to be inside the top 10. Unlike other weeks where I'm like, well, look at the 10K range. Is it likely that one or more than one of these guys will finish inside the top 10? Well, quite frankly, there are only 3 of them. There's only 3 of them. And like a lot of us joke that you only play Keegan Bradley in the Northeast. You don't play him in the Southeast. We don't need him to win the event. We need him to place well. But I don't really like him on Bermuda, although he does have nearly a 20% top 10 rate on Bermuda golf courses, and he plays them okay. I mean, he's probably the best in the field when it comes to the last year. Yeah, he is. Keegan Bradley's the best in the field on Bermuda golf courses within the last 365 days. So obviously, the whole thing, like, don't play him unless he's playing in the Northeast. Well, hey, man, we all evolve. Maybe his game's getting better. Maybe it's getting better. So is there a likelihood more than one of these 10K golfers finishes at the top 10? There is, but it's not as high as previous years or previous events where the 10K range is like 4 or 5 golfers deep with really high caliber golfers. I wouldn't consider these guys really high caliber golfers. But out of all of them, I probably like Ben Griffin the most. All 3 of them, that is. And then I probably like Fitzpatrick second, and then Keegan Bradley third, although he's number 1 in my model. Number 1 in the model. So that means the optimizer is probably going to want to select him as much as it can. Then it goes down. So again, we're looking at the last week 6 bucket. We have 5 9K golfers. So of 9 and 10K golfers, we have 8 of these guys. Could 1 or 2, place inside the top 10? I think so. $8,900 Glover, $8,400 Gerard. Then we got our boy Denny McCarthy. If you want to start a 10-9, a 10-9-8, or a 10-8 or 10-8-8 from this bucket, I think that's fine. And then you got yourself 3 golfers when the projection of this bucket is 1 to 4. So I think that's fine. I think that is absolutely a-okay. Yeah, that works for me. Okay, moving on. Course history 3s. So make sure you clear out that last filter you put in, and we go to the course history bucket and just look at the course history 3s. This bucket is a 1 to 3 projection. So projecting 1 to 3 to finish inside the top 10. It starts with Matsuyama. We get Spieth. We get Aaron Rye. Those are all of our 9K golfers and above. Then we get Glover, Siwoo, and Denny McCarthy. So if you chose Denny McCarthy, you are actually taking up a spot from the last week 6 bucket we just talked about, as well as this course history 3. So he can cover both of those buckets. he can cover both of them, and that would be just fine. And same too with Lucas Glover. Kind of like it, man. I like a Lucas Glover and Denny McCarthy on a lineup together, especially with the 10K golfer. So for me, it's like Ben Griffin. Put Ben Griffin with Glover and McCarthy. It sounds like music to my ears. But again, the expected 8K golfers don't always perform well at this event. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. And then the rest of them, I really like Bud Cauley this week. I think Bud Cauley on southern golf courses, on Bermuda tracks, it works well. I think I have just a really good feeling about Bud Cauley this week. Keith Mitchell, if you remember, was the first round leader, I think, of this event last year, and then just like did really, really bad moving forward. But either way, I think that's fine. And then you got a lot of other good golfers. I like Novak. I like Echeverria. I like Noren. I like Dietrich. I like Smalley. I even like Eckroat. Gary Woodland's coming into his own. Matty Schmidt. I was just watching the 2023 highlights. Samsung TV has a PGA Tour radio or a PGA Tour TV station. So I get to watch some of these events, and they always do reruns of the tournament that's that current week. So I was watching 2024, a little bit of it yesterday and a little bit of 2023 today. Matty Schmidt was up there at the top of the leaderboard, or he was one of the last golfers to finish his round, meaning he was playing well all the way up until Sunday. I got no issue playing Matty Schmidt. He's $6,800. What a steal. Now, the one thing to note, this bucket is a 1 to 3 bucket. So I wouldn't want to play more than 3 golfers. You can if you want. There's only been a max of 2 of these guys in an optimal lineup and a max of 2 of these guys inside the top 5. You have 1 to 5 golfers that have finished inside the top 10 every single year. I mean, a max of 5, at least a minimum of 1. But that success rate is not high, 7%. And the average per year is 39.7. Again, any year can be different. This could be a completely different year than any other year. So do with that as you will. If you want to go 4, I'm giving you permission. I know the sweet spot rules say 1 to 3. If you wanted to go 4, I see why not. Recent form 2 is the next bucket to look at. And that's a 1 to 4 projected bucket. There are only 22 golfers in it, so this will be interesting. Probably going to be a lot of our 10K golfers, I imagine. So make sure you bring back all the golfers in that course history bucket, and then strokes gained 2. I normally don't talk about strokes gained 2, but since we don't have a lot of golfers or a lot of buckets to talk about. Oh, I'm sorry, not strokes gained 2. Recent form 2. Okay. Recent form 2. Well, first of all, I want to see how many are in the recent form 1 bucket. We have 5. So these are golfers with the best recent form coming into this event. But if we look at recent form 2s, we have 22 golfers, just like I said earlier. And I thought it would have a little bit more star power, honestly. Starts with Keegan Bradley, then it's Matsuyama, McIntyre, Aaron Rai, Glover, Adam Scott, Fowler, Sam Stevens. I like Sam Stevens, Matt Wallace, Michael Thorbjornsen, Emiliano Grillo, Jackson Koiven. Like there are, I mean, Andrew Novak I like. A lot of these guys I don't mind. I don't think I'm really going to be anchoring my lineups around a lot of these golfers, though. I'll let the optimizer just kind of choose it. So if it wants to, it will. But I don't see myself anchoring any of my lineups around these guys. Maybe Bradley, but that's it. I like Lucas Glover. I do like Lucas Glover, and he's been in a couple of these buckets that are showing up to be anchor buckets. So those are the buckets, man. That is the bucket system, and I think we're going to get ourselves into a let's do a roll call right now. Roll call number 1. Who's your favorite golfer this week? Give me your favorite golfer this week, and you will get put into the giveaway for next week, as well as the monthly giveaway. I'll go ahead and add these. Did I already? Oh, shouldn't be the open. It's the 3M open. That's what was wrong. There we go. Okay. We're at 132 entries into that giveaway. That's awesome. Joanne likes Ben Griffin. I don't blame you. I was about to put Joanne Griffin in there. Pat Suber. Wheels up. Just his whole shtick this year has been Jackson Suber. AJ Love. I imagine, yeah, Adam Svensson, okay. John Bizzle, you like Kurt Kitayama? Is that what I see? Is that what you mean by Kit? Ryan John, JT Poston. That's a bold take. Lombardi Lee with Ricky Fowler. I like that. Okay, cool. Cool. Yes, sir. Wheels Up says he has two top 20s. Is that like this year or at the Wyndham Championship? I couldn't tell you. I haven't kept track. Okay. We're going to get into the Marquee Tee Times, and just a reminder, I'm building lineups for YouTube members during the members only video that will come right after this video. I'm going to build you more lineups there. I won't have a members only video tomorrow night. So throwing that out there, we're doing it right after this stream. So I will post that video, or I'll post that stream. You'll have access to it right after this one. I forgot to before jumping on, and I can't right now. So throwing that out there. In this video, I'll do lineup building for just non-members. I think I'm repeating myself. Anyways, let's move on. Let's get into Marquee Tee Times. Again, you can follow along with me if you want to check out the Marquee Tee Times. Go to the cheat sheet. Again, SweetSpotDFS.com. Go to this page here, Fantasy Tools cheat sheet. Scroll down to this cheat sheet. Open that up. And it's going to be column O. Go ahead and look at the little filter views up here. It looks like a calculator. Go under DraftKings. Put that filter on. And then you're going to sort under the group rank A to Z. And that's how you're going to get the top 9 groups in the field. That's what I consider the Marquee Tee Times, the top 9 groups. And I'm going to talk about these golfers briefly, and then we're going to start building lineups. And I want you to pick 2 to 4 golfers from here. Again, don't do it now. I'll let you guys know. I'll say, hey, okay, now give me your 2 to 4 golfers. But I want you to choose them from the Marquee Tee Times. Here's the rule. You have to select 2 to 4 groups and only 1 golfer from each of those groups. That's it. We do not pair up golfers together. It rarely happens in a GPP winning lineup. It rarely happens in an optimal lineup. It's even like rarer in an optimal lineup, and it never happens in a sweet spot optimal. So with that being said, group 1, Keegan Bradley, Ben Griffin, Andrew Novak. I don't mind that group. Like I said, I like Ben Griffin quite a bit. Keegan Bradley's number 1 in my model. Ben Griffin's number 2. I really like Andrew Novak too. So if there's ever a time where you want to fade Keegan Bradley or Ben Griffin, Andrew Novak is a great pivot. And I don't mind Andrew Novak at this golf course. The next group after that is Matsuyama, McIntyre, and Ricky Fowler. Again, a lot of golfers, like, I don't mind putting into lineups. I would have liked to have put some of these guys together. Like a Matsuyama Fowler lineup was what I was originally thinking of. I don't want to do that because it just doesn't follow the rules. If you guys want to break the rules, by all means do it. But just remember, you're not playing the percentages. So it's that's where it becomes a gamble. A lot of people just think this is a gamble anyways. So it is what it is. I don't mind any of these golfers, though. I don't mind going to Matsuyama. I'm a bit concerned. Doesn't look like he's playing super great golf, or has been this whole entire year. Started off with a win and then just nothing afterwards. Bobby Mack, I wish I saw him play better golf at this golf course. He just hasn't for whatever reason. And then Ricky Fowler, I like Ricky Fowler. The next group is Matt Fitzpatrick, Jake Knapp, and Tony Finau. I have always kind of, I shouldn't say always, this year I just can't do Tony Finau. I just haven't been able to. I'm not a big fan of Tony Finau's game. I don't like how he plays golf. I've never really trusted him. I did play him quite a bit at the 3M Open, and it obviously backfired. He missed the cut. Jake Knapp, I like Jake Knapp's game, and I like Jake Knapp at the 3M Open. I'm not positive I like him here at the Wyndham. Not to say I won't play him, but it's going to be limited. I'm not going to play a lot of Jake Knapp. Matt Fitzpatrick, I like Fitzpatrick at this golf course. So, and 10,600 is not that expensive, but I don't think I'm going to play him more than, say, 25% of my lineups. Whereas like last week when Sam Burns was like 10,500, I played him in about 60% of my lineups, and won nothing, because when you spend up for a golfer who finishes 60th someplace, and it's as high scoring as it was, that's just, it's difficult to make any money off of that. But yeah, I think I'll take my medicine with Matt Fitzpatrick and just play him sparingly. The next group is Sung J M, Ryan Fox, Gary Woodland. I don't mind any of these guys as like support pieces in your lineup. I wouldn't anchor any of my lineups around these guys, but like I said, pick 2 to 4 groups and pick one golfer from each of those groups. If one of them's these guys, I have no issue with it whatsoever. The next group is Grazerman, Vince Whaley, and Patrick Rogers. If I put 100 weights, if I can spend 100 weights with these 3 golfers, I'm putting Grazerman at about 65 to 70 weights. And then it's probably Whaley at 20. And then Rogers at 10. I don't really care for Rogers at this golf course. $6,600 is inviting, but I much rather him be on POA or bentgrass surfaces. I don't want him at Bermuda golf courses. The next group is Kurt Kitayama, Ryan Gerard, and William Mao. Gerard just won the Barracuda. Mao just won the Barbasol, or the ISCO, I should say. And Kurt Kitayama just won last week. So it's your winners of the last 3 weeks, except for the Open Championship and the Genesis Sky Open, because they're not in the field. So interesting pairing. Friendly price tags. I kind of like William Mao. I mean, this group, by the way, would have been like top 5, top 4 if it wasn't for William Mao bringing the scores down for these guys. I don't mind William Mao. If you want to play him, go for it. Next group is super interesting. If this was last year or the year before, this would probably be group 2, or if not group 1. Jordan Spieth, Akshay Bhatia, and Adam Scott. I am kind of glad those 3 guys are together, because I want them all in my lineup. If you remember, Adam Scott like 2 years ago drove it on like hole 18 in round 3 or hole 17 in round 3. He hit the trees to the left and it dropped down like 20 yards in front of the tee box. So his off the tee stats got hurt so bad just for hitting one of those trees. It was one of the weirdest things to see, especially if you're following ShotLink. That was weird. It was really weird. But I like this golf course for Adam Scott. I also don't mind Jordan Spieth scraping it around here, but I really like Akshay Bhatia from this group. I really like Akshay Bhatia. Next one's Keith Mitchell, Kevin Roy, and Matty Schmid, or Matty Schmid. I like all 3 of them. I imagine the optimizer is going to really want to put Mitchell in a lot of these lineups, as well as Matty Schmid. I'm cool with that. I don't know exactly what my exposures are going to be to these guys, but I think it's a good group to pull golfers from. And then the last group, Bud Cauley, Beau Hausler, Eric Cole. If I'm putting 100 weights into this group, Bud Cauley is getting about 85 of them, if not 90. And then I'm putting the rest of them in a 20 to 80 or an 80 to 20 weighting system, but towards Eric Cole. I really don't care for Beau Hausler whatsoever. Eric Cole, I like at least twice, if not 3 times more than Hausler. And I like Bud Cauley probably about 6 times better than I like Eric Cole. So That's, if it was up to me, I think I'm building a lineup something like this. I go $6,800 Marty Schmidt, $7,500 Bud Colley. I want Ben Griffin in my lineup, honestly, 10-1. And then what was the other guy that Akshay Bhatia. So I'm probably going 10-1, Ben Griffin, 9,000 Akshay, $7,500 Bud Colley, $6,800 Marty Schmidt. Or I could grab an 8K golfer. I don't mind going to Sungjae at this event. I also don't mind going to Ricky Fowler at 85. Is there another 8,000? Yeah, Max Grazerman. I think this is actually this is probably the lineup that really, really, really interests me. Starting Ben Griffin down to Akshay, to Max Grazerman, and then Bud Colley. It's a very easy build, and I think it's gonna work out well. Actually, I'm gonna throw it into the optimizer right now, which also you guys can use if you want. Go to the website, go to optimizer. Here, I'll show you. Go to the website under optimizer. You click on that, brings you to this page. You put your email here and request now. Super easy, super simple. Again, fantasy tools. Drill down into optimizer. This will happen, and then a pop-up app will show up, and you just put your email there. But what did I say? So it's 10-1 Ben Griffin, 9,000 Akshay, $8,200 Grazerman, $7,500 Bud Colley. Right. Here's the thing: the optimizer might break. It might break. We'll see what it looks like. It doesn't break. It gives me a pretty darn good lineup, honestly. I get Nikolai Højgaard in there. Yeah, 10, 9, 8, and 3 7s. It's a sexy lineup. It's a sexy start to a lineup. I really like it. But you guys, here's where I'm going to ask you now. Of all of these groups, I want you to give me 2 to 4 golfers to build lineups around. Again, if you are a YouTube member, I'm going to build your lineups in the members only video that's going to follow this video. For all the non-members, I'm going to build you 5 lineups or 3 minutes worth of lineups. The members and the members only, I'm going to give you 10 lineups. I'll build you 10 lineups. What's going on, Trey? Nice to see you. Byron, are you still in the chat? Joanne, do you want me to build your lineups here? I'm only gonna build 5 lineups or 3 minutes worth of video, or 3 minutes of lineups in this video. Do you want me to build you lineups for the members only video? I'll build you about 10 of them there. It's up to you. And then AJ Love, same thing, man. Do you want lineups built here, or do you want lineups built in the members only? Byron, you had asked me what's going on tomorrow. Do you still need me to answer that? I think I mentioned it. I'm not positive. I mean, I did mention it. I'm not sure if you were here to hear it. Joanne says do it later. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it'll be after this video, Joanne. I know you usually kind of log off a little early, so you can always catch it tomorrow. What's going on, Nathan? AJ members only. Okay, cool. Same thing applies to you, Lombardi Lee. Do you want me to do them here, or do you want them in the members only video? The difference is I'm only going to build you 5 lineups here, or I'll build you 10 lineups over in the members only video. course, Joanne. No, I won't do that. Actually, here's where I'll do it. I'll put it right here. You know what? Let's put some music on, huh? Okay. Joanne wants Griffin. Matsuyama. AJ Love wants Schmid. And Novak. Lombardi Lee, do you want the members only? Or do you want me to build them here? You'll do them in the members only lineups as well, Byron? Okay. Okay. So just Lombardi, I'm waiting for you. The rest of the guys, I will do... Okay, members only says Lombardi. Cool. All right. That means I will find the people who are not members right now, and we'll do those lineups. Just send you the optimizer. Okay. Oh man, I have not had Discord open in forever. So if anyone's been messaging me there, my bad. My apologies. All right, so wheels up. You are up. Suber or Suber and Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack. Super. Man, did he fall in price. Good lord. Let's give him a 200 point boost just so I don't have to keep updating this. Uh-oh. I don't think I'll have to update that. I don't think I'll have to update that. Okay, cool. Alrighty, timer is gonna go on the screen. What's going on, Barry? Barry R. Hi all, hope everyone's doing well. Can't believe the FedEx Cup playoffs are almost here. That's right, time flies. Almost football time. It's crazy. All right, let's change back to this and we'll start building some lineups here. Timer's on the screen. All right, 5 lineups or 3 minutes, whatever comes first. First lineup is Keegan Bradley, Bobby Mack, Ryan Gerard, Sung Jam, Rio, the Assassin, Hisasune, and Jackson Suber. That's a pretty good lineup. I do like Rio this week. Nathan, I'm gonna do members only tonight. I'm not gonna be doing it tomorrow night, so I can add that to the list. Yeah, I can do that. All right, next lineup for you, wheels up, is Ben Griffin, Bobby Mack, Sung JM, Jacob Bridgman, and Jackson Suber. Swipe. Oh my God, Swipe. Swipa gives out 5 YouTube memberships. That's awesome, dude. And Wheels Up gets one now. Talk about the timing. What a guy. Appreciate you, man. Here, you get one of these. That's awesome. All right, your next lineup is Fitzpatrick, McIntyre, Grazerman, Sungjae, Taylor Moore, and Jackson Suber. That's a really good lineup. I like that one quite a bit. That's awesome. Next lineup is Bobby Mack, Jake Knapp, Glover M, Cam Young, and Jackson Suber. That's a good lineup. Holy moly. The lineup after that is Keegan Bradley, Sung J.M., Bobby Mack, Nikolai Højgaard, Bud Cauley, and Jackson Suber. These are really good lineups. And yeah, that, here, one more, I guess. I can build you 5 more during the members only. That's fine. Bobby Mack, Harry Hall, Adam Scott, Sung J.M., Post, and Suber. That works too. Here, let me just keep running. Let's see how many I can do, because that's a good lineup. Ben Griffin, McIntyre, Siwoo Kim, Sung J.M., Vince Whaley, Jackson Suber. Another good lineup. Bobby Mack, Harry Hall, Kitayama, Sung J.M., Mitchell, and Jackson Suber. Another super good lineup. Keegan Bradley, McIntyre, Grazerman, M, Echeverria, and Suber. Wow. These are getting good. Ben Griffin, McIntyre, Ryan Gerard, Sung J.M., Thomas Dietrich, Jackson Suber. Okay, there we go. Got those ones in fast. And I think I'm going to do this differently. I'm liking how these lineups are being built. I'm going to save these off to the side. That way, other members can have some of these other golfers in their lineups. Cool. Those were good lineups. Super good. Did my last message get scooped by the bot? Did you actually have a message? I guess I didn't. Yeah, I didn't see a message. But you reminded me, now that I look, I need to put Nathan's name. Nathan J. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next. I said a little something for the effort. Thanks for all the research. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Swipe a YT. Swipe a YouTube. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, and it should have said something with your message. Normally that's what I see with other streams, like a message will come with some of the memberships. That's awesome. Brian John wants Keegan Bradley and Grazerman. Okay. Brian John, are you still in the chat? Let me know. All right, Brian is here. All right, Brian. If there are certain golfers you don't like, let me know. Just tell me to boot and then whatever the name is, or kick and then the name. But you are on the timer. Here we go. First lineup is Keegan Bradley, Harry Hall. I do have to kick out Suber. Let's run that again. We get Bradley, Matsuyama, Grazerman, Bud Cauley, Echeverria, and Hisatsune. That's a really good lineup. I like that lineup quite a bit. Keegan Bradley, Harry Hall, Ryan Gerard, Grazerman, Jacob Bridgman, and Marty Schmid. Didn't even have to force Marty Schmid in there. That's a super good lineup. Keegan Bradley, Kitayama, Grazerman, Cam Young, Keith Mitchell, and Jesper Svensson. Hey, I'm not sure if I truly like or trust Svensson this week, but it's not terrible. Not terrible. Next lineup is Bradley, Fowler, Grazerman, Sung JM, Nikolai Højgaard, and Taylor Moore. That's 3 8K golfers. I don't hate it. I usually don't like that many 8K golfers together, but if you don't object, we can keep that lineup. So my YouTube handle is my son's Fortnite username, NYT. He was going to try to stream, but he lost interest. Ah, that makes sense. Swiper, no swiping. Last lineup is Keegan Bradley, Jake Knapp, Grazerman, Michael Thorbjornsen, Kevin Yu, and Gary Woodland. I like that lineup a lot. I bet you a lot of people are too afraid to go to Michael Thorbjornsen. If he has an injury, it's worth mentioning because he could. So, Brian, out of these lineups, did you not like any of them? Do you want to do over with one of these guys? One of these lineups? No, it might be difficult to see. Yeah, it is kind of hard to see, isn't it? All good? Sweet. All right. Cool, cool, cool. You are welcome. Actually, you know what? Let me give you just one more, just out of the good spirits of what Swipa did. Here's a 6 lineup. Bradley, Matsuyama, Grazerman, Ryan Fox, Dietrich, and Victor Perez. That was worth it. That was worth it. Those were good lineups. Ooh. I actually don't even know if we have any other non-members left to build lineups around or build lineups for. Now I gotta go make coffee for members only. Okay, so I got Wheels Up, which just became a member. Brian, we did. John Bizzle. John Bizzle keeps getting the shaft. John, are you sure you've got your members on, or you got your memberships enabled? It's the 3rd time. Here, I'm feeling generous. I'll do this. I'll gift memberships too. Let's see if we can get John? Wesley Maxwell gets one. Tim Tulos, J.K. Lawrence, 8 Game, and Denny Berry. John, we did get you memberships before. Something's happening. I'm trying to get John in. It's just not one of those things that you can choose. You can't choose who gets memberships. I know you have, but now this is like the 4th or 5th time that memberships have been given. And you are someone who is pretty active in this community. And what I have seen on YouTube is the more active someone is in the community, the more likely they are to get a membership. All right, I'm gonna do it one more time. I'll do it one more time. Oh, man. I don't know, John. It might be worth something to look into, because this is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. What's going on, Philip? And Brian John, by the way, I know you're in here too. Do you have your gifts enabled? All right, Kit, Bud, and Roy. All right, John. Let's get you those lineups. Oh, it's on now? Dang. Well, I mean, hopefully we can give away some memberships next month. So next week. Next week, maybe we can get one of these videos up to 25 likes like we have in the past. That'd be awesome. Have you spoken bad to an assistant? All right, here we go, John. We get Keegan Bradley, Kurt Kitayama, Denny McCarthy. All right. Was that the first Denny sighting this tonight? Nikolai Højgaard, Bud Colley, and Kevin Roy. I like that lineup. That's a pretty good lineup. Pretty good lineup. Next one after is Hideki Matsuyama, Glover, Kitayama, Cam Young, Bud Colley, and Kevin Roy. All right. Ben Griffin, Aaron Rai, Kurt Kitayama, Bud Colley, Echeverria, Kevin Roy. You know, one other thing I was considering is, not so much considering, but just thinking, is it possible that like a payment option has expired and YouTube just doesn't, I don't know. I don't know how that would work. I don't even know if that would even, you know, encompass anything, but just throwing that out there as a potential possibility. I don't know. You shouldn't need to link a credit card, but I do know a lot of our Google accounts do need to be linked, so I'm not sure. All right, next lineup is Ben Griffin, Aaron Rai, Kurt Kitayama, Bud Colley, Echeverria, and Kevin Roy. I really like that lineup. That's a really good lineup. Oh, I already saved it. I already saved it. What am I doing? I just double liked it. Next lineup is Matt Fitzpatrick, Kitayama, Siwoo Kim, Bud Colley, Kevin Roy, and the assassin Ryo Hisatsune. And then we get Keegan Bradley, Kurt Kitayama, Luke Clanton, Matt Wallace, Bud Colley, and Kevin Roy. Matt Wallace, by the way, last week at the 3M Open, when I was building lineups, he wasn't being chosen at all. And I just was like, you know what? This is going to be one of those events he's just going to turn it on and he's going to place well. So I forced him into a couple lineups. Unfortunately, they like half of them were with Mav McNeely, and and some other guy that missed the cut. It just sucked. That was bad. But what a lineup. I like this one. I get you one more. YouTube made it hard to gift anything, so we have to link, I believe that. Oh, okay. Fitzpatrick, Kitayama, JT Poston, Pearson Cootie, Bud Colley, and Kevin Roy. All right, man. That's a good lineup right there. 6th lineup for you. Actually, that left $600 on the table, meaning that the optimizer couldn't go anywhere else with those lineups. I bet you it's broken. It'll probably break. Nope, now it's back to normal. Here's a 7th one if you wanted one. Matsuyama, Rai, Kitayama, Bud Colley, Seabez, and Kevin Roy. I thought it was broken. Okay. Are there any other non-members that I haven't gotten to for lineups? John. Trey. Okay, Trey. Trey is the next one. All Knapp and Bradley. Ooh, this is a spicy one. John, good luck to you too. Oh, on my tourney? Appreciate it. Yes, John, let's hit the sweet spot. I love it. All right, Trey, your lineups are next. Here we go. He wants Hall, Knapp, and Bradley. We get Bradley, Harry Hall, Jake Knapp, Whaley, Heath Satsune, and Jacob Bridgman. Okay. Then we get Bradley, Harry Hall, Jake Knapp, Taylor Moore, and Marty Schmid. I like that lineup too. It's a good one. Next lineup is Bradley, Harry Hall, Knapp, Grazerman, Woodland, and Paul Peterson. $6,200 Paul Peterson. That's a bit sketchy, but you know what? Something like that could work. Now we get a little bit something a little bit more traditional. Keegan Bradley, Harry Hall, Jake Knapp, Keith Mitchell, Echeverria, and Eric Van Rooyen. And our 5th lineup is Keegan Bradley, Harry Hall, Jake Knapp, Thorbjornsen, Dietrich, and Isaiah Salinda. I also don't mind that one either. And a 6th one just for the road. We get Keegan Bradley, Harry Hall, Jake Knapp, Ryan Fox, Alex Noren, and Eric Cole. I like that lineup quite a bit as well. So those were 6 lineups for you, Trey. Kind of went over the 5 lineups with everybody, just primarily because of feeling bad not letting or not being able to gift out memberships. But yeah. I think that's gonna cover it, guys. I don't know if there's any other non-members in the chat right now that want lineups built. Let me know. We can certainly build more lineups. I want to keep this video under 2 hours. We're at 1:45, but we don't have to go 2 hours. And by the way, any members out there that are looking to stick around, I'm basically going to, I'm going to take like maybe a 5-minute break, maybe less. And then I'm just going to throw it right back on the stream. Or it'll be right back up on the YouTube channel. So take a look for it for the members only. Actually, here's what I'll say, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. is when the members only stream will start. I'll schedule it for 10 p.m. It'll be for members only. Yes, 11 p.m. Eastern. Okay. I don't see anyone else in the chat looking for lineups, so that's going to be it. 10 p.m. will be members only. Good luck, everybody, and I will see you in the members only video.